Welcome to Get Chatty About Your Local Businesses. This is a podcast about small businesses that are LGBT plus or allies. Ultimately, I would love to raise awareness of the small businesses serving Melbourne and Victoria. It doesn't mean that you must be in the business to listen to this podcast, but why don't we look at it like edutainment? And there are many spaces in between, like side hustles, independent projects, artistic ventures, and not-for-profits. Regardless of who you are, I hope you pick up something that helps with what you do or getting inspired a little bit. I enjoyed interviewing Angelo from Divergent Wealth. We covered his professional journey as a financial advisor and his involvement in supporting small businesses, particularly in the LGBT plus community. We chatted about his origin story, as well as the unique challenges and consideration in financial planning for the community. He is very good at working with others and providing insights based on considered and personalized understanding. So it's not like chatting to a chatbot or something, A bit of podcast housekeeping. In addition to the usual swearing and adult-themed content, the tips and ideas shared in this episode are general information and not financial advice. If you're seeking financial advice, you should seek professionals and have a chat one-on-one. Everyone's circumstances are different. I learned so much in this chat though. Let's get chatty about Divergent Wealth. Welcome to this episode of Get Chatty About Your Local Businesses. Hi, Angelo. How are you?
I'm great, Arthur. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you so much for taking part in this episode. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah. So I'm Angelo, of course. I'm a financial advisor by trade. So I started my business in 2022, so midway through the year. I think it's coming up to 18 months, with probably thereabouts. And on the side of that, I'm quite excited because it's the new position, the small business director for Globe. So it all fits in really nicely.
You're working on your business and at the same time holding an important position for LGBT small businesses in the community. Why? Because it can be much easier when you can just do a day job and then just kind of like 5 o'clock, switch off, not thinking about the world. Why do you put yourself into this position?
Why do I do this to myself? Because I enjoy it. It's actually really enjoyable. I think also part of being a small business, and we had a Zoom meeting a couple of months ago, and a lot of the theme that came out of it was small business owners feel a bit lonely or isolated. So it's just kind of nice to connect people with others, even for my own benefit, to be honest. But it's really good when people are trying to grow or trying to meet others, or they've come in for a reason and you fulfill that reason. I don't know, end of the day, at the very core of it, I love helping people. So I guess that's what it is.
So you started your business in 2022. Can you tell me a little bit about why do you start a business?
Really, I don't know if it's good or bad timing, but interesting timing, I suppose. Look, I've been doing this for, if I have a look at my walls, I've got all my certificates there. I don't know, 20 something. So I've been doing it for over 10 years. And it came to a point of, do I continue working for others or do I work for myself? And there was just a series of unfortunate events, if you want to put it that way, that had occurred. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm capable of doing it myself. I've always had it in my head at some point I'll do this. Didn't know when, didn't know how. Still don't know how, but I'm still doing it. So it was just a matter of just jump in the deep end. There's no better way of learning, just jump in the deep end. So that's exactly what happened, because it was a matter of me making my own happiness and my own business. So just did it.
Yeah, I totally agree because I have a day job. I try to separate them with the podcast. I don't rely on my employer to give me all the work satisfaction.
Yeah.
So, Angelo, I want to cast your mind even further back is that why going into finance? Because this is a very interesting sector. that affect everyone in the world. So what inspired you to step into this space at the very beginning?
That is such a good question. I know. Oh, maybe this is a bit deep. Look, I studied economics in high school, and I had a really really inspirational teacher. Um, and we rather than doing units 1 and 2, so year 11, we just went straight to units 3 and 4, so year 12. So we did year 12 twice,
Oh,
really. So when we were in year 11, we just did year 12, and year 12 we did year 12. So I had a really good grounding for economics, and I absolutely loved it. Then I went to university, and that's what I studied, economics, and just continued on from there. So part of, I guess, my education, I also got a diploma of financial services. Or maybe it was called financial planning back then. I can't remember. I got two of them. And so part of that was a whole breadth of finance. So insurance was one of the bigger ones that I actually really enjoyed out of all the topics. And then when it came time to find a real job in the real world, opportunity came up for insurance, and I thought, you know what, I've done quite well studying that. Let's go with that. And sure enough, that was, I don't know, it was my big break, I suppose. I knew the products inside out. People would come to me for advice. I was only the first year post-grad person there. Like everyone else had been there for a number of years, and so people came to me for advice, which is a bit bizarre, but I went with it. And then I decided to move on and to actually find a job in a financial planning office, because if I actually want to make this work, then I need to grow my skill set and grow from there. So did that, and then ended up getting headhunted into another financial planning firm that needed someone with lots of insurance knowledge, and that was me. And yeah, so the rest is history. I just sort of grew from there. Yep, insurance is my backbone, but after that, I knew that I had to sort of expand my skill set and get into more strategy and whatnot. So that's kind of the journey that I took. It wasn't a straightforward, I knew that's what I wanted to do. It was just something that, I swear all my teachers in high school kept saying it, something that I just fell into. So I just realized that was where I was strongest. That was my strong point. I just went with it. Again, I love insurance. I think it's such an intricate, detailed product and series of it's a good blend between finance and health. Probably the best way to explain it. So there's that really sweet spot in between. And when I say insurance, it's life insurance, so life income protection. And to the point that I clearly loved it so much that I actually gave advice to the Federal Financial Services Minister on her life insurance. So if you keep believing, keep going, you never know where it leads.
sometimes career paths don't have to be linear.
No.
And yeah, and it's more exciting when it is not linear. Before we take a little break, I do want to kind of drag you back to the present day, because what I really enjoy about Divergent Wealth is that there's a unique LGBT community-based space that you're working in. So just kind of as a little bit of an overview, can you share with the audience what's unique about the LGBT community and financial planning and such?
It's interesting because I think as I continued focusing on it, there's more that I come to learn, of course. So, for example, client that I'm working with at the moment, their identity doesn't align with what the software I use aligns with. So there's a new challenge that gets presented to me. So it's just those little things that really add up. And so it's at the end of the day, being comfortable with the person that you're working with. As I said, insurance is that sweet spot between health and finance. You've got to explain quite a lot about your financial history, future, current situation, your health, your health history, your family health history, your income, quite a lot, like your spending habits, where your money goes. There's a lot of detail that you have to collate. So you're going to be really comfortable with the person that's receiving and analyzing all of that. But then it goes a bit above that. And so I've also got to know what their, I guess, home life is like, or what their relationship status is, because that also forms quite a bit of the advice as well. So tax, for example, becomes quite important. Do we structure something in a particular way? Because if you're a single individual person and you don't have any dependents or any family, what do we do? And that's a recurring theme that happens, I guess, more often than what I guess I had seen in the past. But what's happening is we've got structures in place to make sure that if something does happen, that the money goes to where it needs to go to. So ultimately, working with my community, working with people that are like-minded, working with people that understand each other, we've got a common language. It makes life so much easier. And if they're comfortable, I'm comfortable, vice versa. All things go well.
And is that why you name your business the Divergent?
Not really. I
Oh,
probably would
there
have
you
come up
go.
with a better name. Look,
No, it's a good
Divergent.
name.
Thanks. Look, Divergent came from trying to point out something different. I mean, being different to the rest. If you want to apply that to the work that I do in the LGBT plus space, sure. But really, the idea was I'm just a different advisor to the rest. I'm not the same. I hope I'm not the same as the rest in a positive way, because I really love being there for my clients, like throughout the whole process. Just picking up the phone, talking to them. It's just something different. And then, just want to make sure that they get the most out of what they pay for, and what they receive is of value.
You just talk about it. You had a non-linear path. And I can imagine that many of the people in this space that we're talking about would have a non-linear or not a conventional financial uh, pathway, if you may.
Yeah, everyone's on their own journey, their own path. It's great. I love sort of picking it up and carrying it on from where it is to where we're aiming to take it.
Well, after the break, that I would love to dive a little bit deeper about some of the financials offering that you do, if you may. I will take a quick break and then we'll come back shortly. And we're back with Angelo from Divergent Wealth. He is a financial advisor serving the LGBT plus community, and we're diving a little deeper into so many topics. You provide a really good wide range of services. Before we talk about all of this, is talk about values and goals in the context of LGBT financial planning.
Everyone's got goals as to what they want to achieve and the reason why they see a financial planner. I guess think of me like a gym instructor or a gym coach. You want to work on your arms or your butt. Whatever that is, you tell them what your goals are, and the workouts are tailored to you. So it's the same thing. You come in, you tell me what your goals are, and I'll tailor the plan accordingly to you. You see your trainer every couple of days or week or whatnot. Maybe not so as often with me, because you don't need that much training, but some people do. Then as we progress, we see what we started off with and where we're working towards. And so it's just a matter of reviewing, maintaining, adjusting. Goals will constantly change. So for some people, it might be that they want to purchase a property, and I'll help get them there with a bit of a saving strategy and grow their little pot of money, grow it from there. So that way they can get to that point of them purchasing that property. And maybe it changes. Maybe they don't want to buy a property at that point because maybe it's out of reach, or the numbers don't stack up because the economy's changed. Cool. So we just adjust it from there. The whole thing adjusts accordingly. So it's the same sort of thing. You pay for your instructor, you pay for your advisor, you have your reviews. There's a lot of touch points throughout the whole process. It's exactly the same sort of thing, but your goals need to align. For example, if you say to your gym coach that you really want to have like the biggest muscles in the gym, it's the same thing that people come to me with, that they want to have $1 million by, the end of 10 years time, but their saving really don't reflect that, or their income can't reflect it. Let's sort of realign what your goals are and figure out, well, what is actually achievable, and let's try and maintain that level of satisfaction, because otherwise it's not going to work. We're just going to make sure that what we're doing is we're working towards the right thing.
So you're a little bit like a personal trainer for one's bank account, and
Correct.
it's with a realistic point of view. Because I was like, I joined the gym, I've done nothing. Then I have, then I it's there's no reason for me to claim that it's like, why is not my body changing? Because
We'll be there, don't worry.
well, I mean, that's exactly someone like you would come into us like, hey, I mean, this is the money you're making, this is the money you're spending. Then it's like, don't expect a million.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
some people can do it, great, and
Well,
then
yes.
let's continue doing that. Like that's that's awesome. Let's maintain this. Let's keep going. And it's just a matter of maximizing what you can get. With the software that I use, it projects out a whole bunch of things. So you put your income in, you put your expenses there, you add in your assets, and a really simple point of view, and then it spits out this graph, and it shows year on year where you're expected to be, and then it shows you below that all the figures, and so you can kind of figure out from there, oh, well, here's an opportunity in like 3 years' time, for example, based on current estimates, what's going to happen. And there's like a $50,000 boost here that we might want to be on top of, because otherwise we're going to miss that boat. And if the client then says, oh, I've got 50 grand, I'm going to go spend that on something. Well, before we do that, what do we do with it? Do you actually want to spend it, or do you want to invest that, or do you want to put it towards something? Do you want a tax break? So many different things. So it's just a matter of just being on top of it all. You just never know.
This is a great segue because I'm about to ask like for you to explain what does it mean to be what wealth creation means. And you already touched on that a little bit. Can you elaborate a little bit further, please?
I didn't even know that was going to be the next question, but there you go.
You read my mind.
Wealth creation, I guess it really is what the name suggests. So it's just creating wealth from what you've got. It might be personal wealth creation. It might be inside of different structures like a trust or super fund or whatnot. But wealth creation, generally speaking, it's within your own personal name and creating that level of wealth. So you might have a surplus of income at the end of the year and realize, there's 20 grand sitting in my bank account. I don't need that. What am I best positioned to do with that 20 grand? Because next year it's going to be 40, the year after it's going to be 60. I just don't want cash sitting in my bank account doing nothing. So then it's a matter of, great, what's your goals? When do you want to access it? How much risk do you want to take with this? Do you want a level of income? Do you want a product, or do you want a portfolio which is going to be focused on income or growing the actual capital value? There's a whole bunch of things. So we'll go under a whole bunch of ideas and then spitball them, come up with a couple of strategies until we land on one that really works for a client. So then we come up with a wealth or a wealth strategy to create whatever they need to be, created from there.
I'm already becoming an old queen. It's only a matter of time that I'll morph into one of the golden girls, and that's when I need to think about retirement. So, see another great segue that we're going into. Another
Golden
good
girls
segue.
retirement. Yeah.
Yep. And so because like we talk about goals, we talk about our working life, and the next big milestone in one's life is retirement. And you help people with retirement. So can you what planning retirement, like you help people planning their retirement. Can you tell us a little bit about what is it like in a financial planning context?
Um, Yeah, look, I'm not going to help someone get into shady pines, of course.
Thank you.
Um, don't worry, I got you. But it's just a matter of making sure it's the same sort of adaptation from what I was explaining before. You know, what are your expenses? What do you need when you get to retirement? If the projections are showing you're not going to have enough, or you're going to have way too much, what do you want to do with it? Um, it changes the conversation. So I guess part of the conversation initially is income. So what you earn, what you burn, um, what your assets are and your liabilities. But figuring out from there what that looks like, and if there are those opportunities all throughout, that progress step to figure out, oh, look, there's a bit of something here, or this year's going to be a really tough year. What do we do? But then it gets to a point of retirement, and do we have enough assets? Is there enough income that's going to be generated from those assets? And then figuring out from there, well, let's backtrack because right now we're here, and this is showing that there's not enough. What do we need to do? Because most people, and this isn't everyone, but most people, you get to retirement and it's, oh, I can go traveling now. You know, all those holidays I couldn't do in the past because of work, I'm going to go traveling. Um, your expenses will go up. You know, your work expenses, of course, won't change, but won't exist, but there's not going to be that much of a dent um, for most people, depending upon what you do. But then it's suddenly, as you're in years of retirement, you've done your travels, you've done everything you wanted to do, those expenses come down and they'll sort of plateau a little bit. They'll come down and sort of plateau. And then when you get to the point of retirement, aged care, after retirement, then it might sort of spike up again because you need carers, you need a bit of assistance, you might be going into a aged care facility. Those things will change. So it's just making sure that that sort of peak, trough, and then little peak will work out, and then going back from then to now, to figure out, well, what is it that we do with what we've got. So I always tell clients, I'm not going to take away everything today for you to live for tomorrow. You're still going to have a bit of today for a bit of tomorrow. Just flatten that out because there's no point of working your butt off and then getting to retirement, and that's when you can spend your money. Because if you put into super, you can't touch it most likely until you're age 60. So,
It's Yeah, it's understanding the context. Like, back to that personal trainer analogy, that if someone's training someone in their 20s, their goals would be different from someone in their
oh
40s
yeah,
and their 60s. So I think it's really important to have that understanding of how money works in that context, because, like, as we are just adults right now, we'll make a decent income. So our expenditure doesn't look too big, but then if I am in my 80s, not having the same level of income, then I need to think about life differently, approach it differently. And the thing is, who knows how long I'm going to live? Oh gosh.
but that's the thing. You never know. Life expectancy is constantly changing and sort of pushing out further and further. But I think, I don't know, don't quote me on this. Aren't we part of the first generation that's not going to live longer than our parents? So who knows?
Well, I mean, but our retirement age will be older than our parents' retirement age,
Oh,
unfortunately.
probably true. Yeah, exactly.
But I think one of the things that we also I'm fascinated about reading your website is estate planning. Can you tell us a bit more about that? You already touched on that a little bit actually, but then I would love to hear a little bit more.
Oh, it's so fascinating. I'm no lawyer, so please don't take this as legal advice. But it's fascinating because um, you've got to figure out what assets you've got, what structure they're in, and who they're going to. I'll make it really, really simple. So if you've got life insurance, if you've got it inside of super, like most people do, you get an industry super fund from your boss. They'll set you up with that, and you'll have a bit of insurance in that. But then it's a matter of where does it go? And most people have in their mind, oh, it will just go to my partner. Well, who's your partner? And then it becomes a conversation around, you know, are they interdependent? Are they dependent, or what? Where does the tax liability fall if there is an issue with who it become? So you can either have it inside of super, deal with those problems, or you can have it outside of super. And because it's not within superannuation legislation, within the confines of the laws around that, it's now owned by an individual through a company, and it's a contract between a company and a person, and it just goes to whoever they nominate. So if you die, your money goes to whoever you nominate, and that's it, if it's owned in your name. But the really fascinating thing then becomes, if it is within super, well, super doesn't really form part of your estate. So you have to be really mindful around who your beneficiary is, and will they be taxed, and can they actually receive it? So there's a whole bunch of things at play around who it goes to, will they be taxed, and can they receive it? So there's a few points in there that you really need to make sure of, that it does actually meet that. The easiest way to do it, have a will set up, because your will explain where your assets go. And then your super, you can say, I want that to go to my estate. So the trustees of the super fund, because your money is in trust, essentially, transfer the assets across to your estate, and then it's distributed as per your will. That might be the easiest way to do it. But everyone's case is different. Always have a conversation with your advisor or with your lawyers, just to figure out if you've got the right processes and even the forms in place. Because I'm gonna stump you on this, Arthur. You're gonna love this. There's two types of beneficiaries inside of super. You've got binding and non-binding.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So binding is that they're bound by what you've nominated. And generally, you have to get two people to sign off on that. So you sign it to say, I want this to be my beneficiary, your estate, a particular person, or you do it as a non-binding. So you just go online in most cases, or you go on your app or whatnot, put a person's name in, and that's your non-binding nomination. So,
and there's no witness, but it's not binding.
Exactly. So most people have their superannuation set up that way. But again, the trustee is not bound, and it's a nomination.
So it's like if some asshole set up something that without even having signatures of two witnesses, then that shit is just can go into a non-binding state, which means that someone can argue it to
Yeah, correct.
fuck it up. I can't think of. I mean, you have better language. Well, you have better vocabulary than I am in the space, because you are a professional. But I was like, ow.
Yeah, but that's just how it is, because it's a non-binding nomination. I mean, anyone can nominate.
Wow.
It depends, because some people have a partner, and it can go to that partner. As long as they meet legislation around who a partner is, or a spouse, it can go to them. And if that's the case, they get it tax-free. If it's not the case, you can pay up to 32% tax.
Wow. So it's like, I mean, of course, at this very point that I don't have anything, hardly anything. But then I was like, if touch wood, sometimes in the distant future that I created some wealth that I want to leave some of them to like a LGBT plus organization, then I better get some witness when I put that together.
Put that into your estate, put that into your will, and have it go that way. Yep.
Oh, God. Now I have too much to think about. Oh, jeez. Well, all right. Well, after this break, I am going to throw a bunch of random questions to Angelo's way. And so we'll be a quick fire round. But meanwhile, let's listen to some of the messages from some of our podcast OG supporters. Welcome back, Angelo.
Thank you.
And now this we are coming to the third segment of this podcast, which is a bunch of quick fire questions. Well, I'm gonna just start. I'm gonna jump in and throw these questions your way. First question: what is the one item you couldn't live without?
My phone.
Gosh, imagine without a charger. Uh, but that will be the second item. What is your most overused word or phrase?
The word like.
Well, I mean that just shows that you're a millennial. That's all.
It's horrors.
What is a STD?
Sexually transmitted debt.
Yes, yes, we got that. Okay, well, all right. Well, we'll pause the quick fire bit a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about what is a sexually transmitted debt? I love it when I heard it.
There's multiple ways of explaining it, but I guess the two mainstream ones. One is when a partner takes out debt and you don't even know about it. They can take out a credit card in your name. You've got no idea, and therefore they spend out that credit card. As an example, you had no idea, and then you're left with this debt. Or the other one is when you couple up with someone, not knowing what their debt level is, and that sort of becomes part of, I guess, your overall level of debt as well, and therefore they're using your money to pay for it. So there's a few factors in there, but generally it's when someone takes out debt without you knowing, and therefore it's now left in your name, and off you go.
Uh, okay, suddenly chlamydia don't sound so bad now.
No.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because sometimes it's like when people are like loving up and enjoying their time together, and which is amazing. But then sometimes that when one is going into a serious relationship with another person, they really need to think about that. So they're difficult conversations. But I mean, if someone can have a conversation like that about STI, then they really should think about having a honest financial conversation with one another. There you
Exactly.
go. Yeah. Okay. Back to the quick
Get back.
quack question. Quack question. Answer. Sorry. Back to the quick fire question. Another world that is parallel to this, but you are a different version of you. So there's a
Gosh.
different version of Angelo. That's something in the past that you might have taken a different path.
Oh, I would have been a lawyer. Yeah. Oh, I would have been a
Oh,
lawyer. Yeah. 100%. Criminal lawyer to be probably more exact.
what inspires you on a Tuesday?
Oh, I guess the dinners that I have with family because I got them on Monday night and Tuesday night, so I kind of get my work done Tuesday during the day, so that way I can go to dinner, like without having to worry about work. So dinner.
Good, good, good. Well, speaking of that, if you could have dinner with anyone, anytime or anywhere, or well, I call anytime and any when, can you name three guests?
Um, Churchill, because I think
Okay.
he would be really inspirational just to hear, and plus, hear what he has to say, and plus he was really odd in his approaches. So Churchill. Kind of going with that theme as well. I definitely want to have dinner with the late Queen Elizabeth because
Uh,
I mean I finished watching The Crown recently, but that
oh,
aside, she was a little cheeky and elegant. So I would love to sort of see that behind the scenes blend of the two that the public never got to sort of see. That would be amazing. And then lastly, Harold Holt. So I could ask what
oh,
actually happened. Did you go missing? Was it the Japanese? Did you
uh,
drown?
but well, look, I mean, well, I mean,
So many theories.
I, I don't know. I don't even know how I came up with that, but that was part of the conversation. Is um because he was gone during his term. So does that mean that if he comes back as a fish hybrid, does that make him still the prime minister? Does that,
Constitutionally, I wonder. Surely not.
I mean, is there any laws to do that? See, I need to ask the parallel universe, Angelo. Now, one last question, which is kind of related to what you've been saying a little bit. How do you keep the momentum going?
Oh, lots of coffee.
Oh, I need to know where you got your coffee from.
it's I don't even know. I think like I said to you, I'm so tired. Like
Oh
the
no.
last 18 months has been
Yeah.
non-stop. That my body's just like, I can't. I've really got to slow down. But um, lots of good coffee. So I went to Italy, and oh my
Ah.
God, the coffee.
Hmm. I if I go to Italy, I'm gonna come back really fat.
No, you say that, but the heat and the walking, yeah, there's no way.
Oh, well, that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, on that. Sorry, go on.
there's so much walking. You got to have good shoes.
Oh my God. But no, I mean, you don't want to have a sweaty, hungry Arthur walking around. No, 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 no. I can't deal with that. I don't need the world to deal with that. And on that mental image, Angelo, thank you so much for participating in this episode. I hope it was an enjoyable experience for you because I have a good time. I mean, like,
Likewise.
I like talking shit. I mean, I don't know if you have noticed, but well, if you haven't noticed, wow. And before we go, can you tell us a little bit about how people can find you?
Yeah. Google Divergent Wealth. So that's Divergent, Divergent Wealth, or divergentwealth.com.au. I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Find me on there or Google Angelo Baronessa, and surely I will come up as one of the top options on there based upon where you are. But get in touch with me via those methods.
And make sure that you check out all of the contact info on the show notes. And thank you once again, Angelo. Thank you so much for participating today. I hope this will be a really interesting kickstart for your afternoon. Just thinking about what have I just done? And
So what I'm going to do after this, coffee.
a very special thanks to Angelo and Divergent Wealth. Angelo's story showed that many career paths are not linear, but are about being in tune with yourself, which drives them to where he is today and keeps him motivated. Financial planning within the community presents many unique challenges and considerations, and finding someone who understands the importance and nuance of advisor-client relationships, especially when discussing personal and financial situation, is crucial. Now, what we discussed were general things and were not financial advices. But when you're ready to talk about your own plans or have any other questions, please consider reaching out to Angelo, getting a friend to follow him. And thank you very much for supporting this podcast. And of course, follow us and all of the OG supporters of the podcast. You can find the information on the show notes. Thanks for listening and have an amazing day.